I'm Dr. Toby Davidson. I'm a senior lecturer in literature at Macquarie University on the traditional grounds of the Wallumattagal clan of the Darug Nation. And my teaching area is in Australian literature in particular, researching and teaching more broadly across the English program. And I should just say for clarity that I'm not Indigenous myself. So my experience implementing these methods has been very positive. Students respond to it really well, particularly when they're given a lecture to bring some context to what they're studying. A lot of the writing that we do study by Indigenous authors is very much contemporary. So we have a lot of living authors who often have their own websites or their own author social media or things like that students can follow, and often are talking about a lot of contemporary issues that students want to know more about as well. And of course, including any Indigenous students that I have as well. I'm always mindful of that as well. So I hope that any Indigenous students in my units feel represented and sort of culturally respected for what's offered as Australian literature in the units I teach. Yeah, my advice to teachers and instructors in any educational field is to firstly look at what your institution has in terms of partnerships with Indigenous people, partnerships with local communities and community representatives that already exist that can be built upon and improved. I'm very fortunate at Macquarie University that we have that as a growing area. We have a Deputy Vice-Chancellor Indigenous. We have a lot of initiatives to add and improve Indigenous program, but I'm also very lucky that we have the Department of Indigenous Studies here as well, where they have often visiting authors and things like that. So I would recommend trying to build upon what already exists, but also not to try to rush and to fill any gap that you see by trying to tell someone else's story. There's the motto, nothing about us without us. And these days there is a lot of online material which is Indigenous authored or written by Indigenous critics. And there are Indigenous organisations such as AITSIS and others, including some very much in the Indigenous space, that you can contact for information and resources, so that anything that you are then passing on to your students isn't something that you've created yourself or that you're trying to do to bridge a gap that you see there, rather than saving that place for Indigenous authors themselves for you to present Indigenous authored works, and in the field of literature, Indigenous literary scholarship, which is growing in such a large way. So I would advise to build upon what there is already, and try not to tell other people's stories, and definitely don't rush. Take your time and learn as much as you can about the local history as well, which you again, there are so many more resources now than there ever have been on this, and there of course are local and national histories written by Indigenous historians as well. So consult widely and move in a considered way, considering your own subject position and the own limitations that you might have yourself.